Okie dokie. Boy, a lot has happened since I made my last YouTube video. Um, I gotta warn you, even if you have the intent of violating a Gail commandment, and if you buy a suggestion that comes from Baphomet, you can be attacked by one of these fiends. Because let me tell you what happened. When I found out, I had dental problems, that something needed to be done about an infected tooth here, I was considering my options, and I thought, I became obsessed with exploring all of the endodontists in town and got excited about the fact that it looked like I could afford any type of dental treatment I wanted if I used my Gail Commandment savings. That was a big mistake. As soon as I started thinking that, all of a sudden, while I was on the computer, doing searches for how I could spend my savings money for Gail Commandments on dental expenses to deal with this problem, I was very worried about losing this tooth because I'm a big time cook and I wanted to be able to eat without suffering, like my nuts, my popsicles, my chewy candy, and that sort of thing, And so I thought, oh, if only I could save the tooth. If I could just save the tooth. So I was obsessed with finding maybe a periodontist who could do another root canal, or maybe I could afford a dental implant, and I looked into bridges and I thought, oh, bridges are hard to clean and I already have bone loss. The Jesuits have been attacking my teeth since my 20s, and yes, I had holes in my teeth in my 20s. I was told by a dentist when I was in my 30s that I had the teeth of a 50-something. It's not my fault for the most part. The Jesuits have been attacking my teeth, my health, and my teeth. They gave me a yeast infection, and the yeast, it was a genetically engineered yeast, caused mineral loss in my teeth, Now, the reason I've been confused about how to deal with this problem here is because in 2013, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Around 2011, there was a dentist in Melbourne, Florida called Sadesh Kumar, And I was told by Brent that he was a good dentist. I was told by Brent that he was a good dentist, And so I presumed when I went into his office in October 2013, he did an x-ray, they did the cleaning, the normal rigmarole when you come in for your 6-month checkup at the dentist, He came back with this really somber look. And he put the x-ray up and he showed me this big dark black spot in the tooth. And he said, you've got a huge cavity in your tooth and this tooth needs to be extracted. Yeah, my mother and sister were at that time not actually my friends. It was very confusing. Because I was told by Brad he was a good dentist, so I thought I got really, and he said, we're going to need to extract your tooth and do a dental implant. I had just lost my job at Walmart because of my sister, like a year ago. So I was about to lose my dental insurance, and I was freaking out thinking, how can I afford a $2,000 or $3,000, back then it was like $2,000 or $3,000 dental implant. Finally, I noticed when it was time for my dental appointment, the tire to my car was flat. I thought, this is strange. This was for a follow-up appointment after the dentist told me that I needed a dental implant. So we got on Skype and Jesus showed up. At that time, Jesus was showing up, He's not now, but back then he was. This was 2013. And he said, I'm the one who put the flat tire on your car, Gail. He said, I don't want you to go to that dentist. And I said, why not? He said, Gail, when that dentist went into the x-ray room, the Jesuits murdered him and replaced him with a clone. And that x-ray they showed you was fake. He said, we're not going to worry about your teeth right now. He said, you have a mild yeast infection in that tooth. He said, we have bigger problems to worry about right now. At that time, he was worried about my mother and sister because they were going to try to get control over my life. So this is why it's the same tooth, okay? So I'm kind of leery when any dentist gets really hyped up about this tooth. So I went to this dentist, which I was told is a good dentist, and Buddha told me he promised to balance the chakras of this dentist every time he worked on my teeth. And he has a lady dentist assistant who got really worried about this tooth, and she said, I think we're going to have to extract it. I consulted with Brent, and I said, is she like that Sudesh Kumar? Am I in the same situation? I'm getting a little worried here. And we just did a root canal on it last year, and that didn't work. Finally Brent said, no, your dentists are fine. I checked them out. He said, apparently the infection in there is so bad. Now, my husband is a medical doctor, okay? He said it's so bad, they're going to have to, even with the root canal, they cannot fix it. So I said, I am so confused. Why did Jesus tell me back in 2013 not to worry about that tooth? And how come, if the infection in there is so bad, I mean, to be honest with you, if I've had swelling down here ever since 2013, it's kind of like on and off, okay? Though Jesus did tell me my yeast was cured in 2020, okay? He said it was totally gone. So I thought maybe it was a mite infection and that there was nothing. And I remember Jesus told me that there's nothing a dentist can do for a mite infection in your tooth. I remember him telling me that. So I thought we had the same situation here. I thought maybe they were giving me the same deal. Well, we found out the dentists are bona fide real. They haven't been, they're living on, we're protecting them. So they're bona fide real. Okay, so I decided, okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to extract this tooth. I thought, oh no, that's my favorite tooth to eat on. I thought, don't be a sissy. Look what your husband has been through, okay? That's what I told myself. Actually, it's not so much that I'm a sissy. It's just that I love to eat my nuts and stuff like that. So I said, okay, all right. So I got obsessed with what I could do so I could still eat like a normal person. I didn't relish the idea of having dentures or a bridge, because see, with a bridge, underneath it, I think would be kind of hard to clean. They got to shave the adjacent teeth to put the bridge on there. So that didn't excite me. And then I thought, dentures, well, I guess I could live with dentures, but I said, oh man, there's just more work to do in my mouth. I spend a lot of time every night with dental floss, electric toothbrush, just so, I've got terrible bone loss. I mean, can you see it down there? It's bad, really bad. So I was thinking, I was getting all obsessed with what I could do so I could eat like a normal person, and then that's when I got in trouble. So I got really upset. Apparently Baphomet was taking advantage of the fact that I wanted to, still eat with teeth like I had that I've had for all my life. Well, I've got a crown here and here, but, I like to be able to eat without complications. People with dentures, but it's only one tooth. So Brent said, Gail, we got it. We're probably going to have to extract the tooth, and you probably should listen to your dentist because the infection could become life-threatening. He said if you do not deal with the infection there, you could get sepsis, your organs could get infected. So I thought, okay. And Jesus, when he left us in June 2022, said I should listen to my husband. So to make a long story short, I was getting obsessed with saving the tooth, and I was researching online, excited about spending all my savings money to ensure that I could eat like I've always been able to eat on this side, right? I noticed while I was doing that, we had a tornado warning. And I thought, my Gail Shield's not working? I said, send the tornadoes away. Then I heard a siren. So I actually went down. I went down to the lowest level of my apartment, and I've never done that before because I thought, oh my God. So we actually had an EF1 tornado within like a 10-minute drive from where I live. I found out later with Rule 13 that while I was obsessed with spending my Gail Commandment savings money to help me eat like a normal person, trying to find the right endodontist, looking into different implants, and knowing that, my Gail Shield went down to 10%. And also during that time, Baphomet took advantage of the fact that my Gail Shield was down to 10%, and he started walking around my apartment because the next day, Brent said he saw Baphomet's footprints in my apartment. Now, I don't see them because Baphomet's in another dimension. So I thought, wait a minute, I must be doing something wrong if Baphomet feels comfortable walking around my apartment. So that was what I was doing wrong. I was actually happy about violating the Gail Commandment for savings. That made, to try to save, my ability to eat like a normal person. You might say, Jesus doesn't care about your teeth. Oh, well, he does. The problem was, the one who gave me the obsession was apparently Baphomet, and I was going with it. You see what I'm saying? Oh, well, the next day, okay, this was after the tornadoes. So we had tornadoes, I think it was 2 days after the tornadoes. I finally decided that I found a bunch of periodontists that I could go to for a second opinion. Because I told the dentist, I said, I don't want to pull my tooth. She said, well, if we don't pull it, then we're going to send you to an endodontist to get a consultation. So I found some endodontists that work with that are in my area, but I wasn't sure if my insurance would cover it, but I figured I'd pay for it cash if I had to. That was what made the Gail Shield go down to 10%, that I had that attitude, okay? So what happened was like 2 days after the tornadoes. No, I think it was the next day after the tornadoes. I noticed we had a bright, beautiful day. And I had made a decision to go to a periodontist and have them do a second root canal, even if I had to use my savings money, the money in Gail savings. Well, and I wrote about it at Skype, okay? As soon as I said that, according to Rule 13, my Gail Shield vanished. And at that point, Baphomet entered the apartment and started oral sexing Brent on my bed. And Brent was trying to type it. He says, help, Gail, Baphomet's in the apartment. I said, what did I do wrong? I haven't spent any money. I don't get it. I said, I changed my mind. I won't go to the periodontist. I changed my mind. But Baphomet had got in. He was raping Brent. Zach was there, and he told me what was happening. So I went over I said, let me just go over. I tried shooting lightning bolts at him, and I wasn't sure if they were working because Zach didn't tell me if they were. He just said, oh my God, Baphomet is raping Brent in the mouth, and his stomach is starting to distend. And I said, okay, let me just go to the bed right now and make love to my husband. And I shot lightning bolts. I got pillows, and I started banging all over with the bed. And it was all over on Gabriel Chana Fox News. I wanted to chase back. I said, oh no, he's going to kill my husband. So I went over there, and I just started making love to Brent. And Brent was fighting him, trying to get Baphomet off of him, and Baphomet wouldn't let go, and he has really sharp hooves, and he was digging into Brent's back, and into punching him in the stomach, trying to hold on so he could, and he was, according to Zach, his balls were pulsating as he was forcefully ejaculating all of his semen down Brent's mouth. It was going down into his stomach, causing Brent's stomach to distend, and I said, this is no good, Baphomet has got to go. I went over there, according to we found out later that the lightning, as soon as I made the decision not to listen to the suggestion, another thing I did wrong was assuming that the beautiful weather and the sun coming out after the spate of tornadoes, this was the day after the tornadoes, was a sign from Jesus that he wanted me to go to the periodontist to get another root canal. That was what made the Gail Shield go down to nothing. You see, whenever we listen to and act on or have the intention of acting on any suggestion that comes to our mind from Baphomet, it weakens us spiritually. and it feeds the evil forces in the multiverse. And that's exactly what I did, because apparently Baphomet was the one who put that idea into my head to go to the periodontist and have another root canal done to try to save this tooth. I thought that would be a simple way to save the tooth, and I could be spared an extraction and dental implant. And that idea apparently came from Baphomet. And even worse, I was giving Jesus credit for that idea. Yeah, which meant, like, I was looking out at the beautiful view from my window and seeing the beautiful sun after a spate of tornadoes, and I thought that was a sign from Jesus that he approved of me going to the periodontist to get another root canal to save the tooth, because apparently I wrongly concluded that my dentist goofed when they did the root canal, and maybe they waited too long to put the new crown on there, and they did something wrong, which apparently was not the case, but that's what Baphomet wanted me to believe, okay? And another thing that was interesting was, well, first of all, we knew there was something funny going on, because Zach said, "Oh, Gail, I just overheard something in the spiritual realm. Baphomet's, there's hooves, and I'm hearing bleeding." Whenever you hear bleeding, that's a goat. And somebody's saying that they want you to spend all of your Gail Commandment savings on dental work and fill your mouth with false teeth and Baphomet semen. And they're going, "Yeah, that was Baphomet." I go, uh-oh, I'm doing something wrong. So I asked Brent to go to Buddha to find out what I was doing wrong or what was going on here. Buddha suggested, he said, never go to a dentist and tell them that you've got money to spend on whatever they want to do with dental work. He said it causes an imbalance in their chakras and appeals to their greed. Even a good dentist, he said, can have a problem with this. So he said, don't ever tell a dentist that. He said, when you go to the dentist, tell them you only want to do what's covered by insurance. And then another thing he said was, he said that. He said, I also sense something big is coming up. And that's all he said. And he said, it's very important to make sure we keep the Gail shield strong. So you guys, that doesn't sound good, okay? But what the funny thing is, when he said that, within a half an hour back, that's when I made the decision, to go to the periodontist, and that's when the Gail shield went to nothing. So I thought the big thing was Baphomet raping my husband. But fortunately, when I got into bed, okay, and started having sex with him, and because I refuted the sign, and I said, I won't act on it. I won't go to the periodontist. I refute that. It's not from Jesus, or I won't do it. And as soon as I did that, the Gail shield went back up. And I started lightning bolting Baphomet. And then I went into bed, and Brent was eventually able to shove Baphomet wanted to take a break and slap my husband on the butt, okay? That's while it was part of his sex play, And he also said, oh, with Gail making love to you, doesn't that mean she's what do they call it, transgender? And then Brent was trying to say, I am not Gail, you're making love. But then Baphomet he couldn't type good, So, oh man. Yeah, so that Baphomet, yeah, you know how long the Gail shield was at nothing, 0.7 of a second. But that was enough time for Baphomet to get in here. I can't even have the intention of violating a Gail, especially if I start giving Jesus credit for a Baphomet suggestion. See, basically, whenever we act on a suggestion that comes from Baphomet, especially if we think it's Jesus instead of Baphomet, and we act on it, that really strengthens the evil spiritual forces. To the point, with me, that it made the Gail shield just vanish for 0.7 of a second, which was just enough time for Baphomet to get in here and attack Brent. I can't even have the intention for 0.7 of a second to work on, to do whatever Baphomet suggested to my mind. especially if he makes me believe that Jesus was behind it. Apparently, if you believe Jesus was behind a Baphomet suggestion and you had the intention of acting on it, it really feeds the spiritual evil forces. You might say, how can we be safe? It's really tricky. I will say this much. As a result of that experience, I have decided I'm going to totally ignore all signs. Yeah. Like if it's a beautiful day and I see beautiful rays coming from the sun, I'm just going to assume it's nothing more than a beautiful day with beautiful rays coming from the sun. That's it. It's not coming from Jesus. And if I start thinking that way, because it was a beautiful day when my Gail shield went down to 0. Get it? And I thought that was Jesus giving me a sign. And then we just had a spate of tornadoes. So I thought what I was doing wrong the day before was that I decided to get the implant, and my decision to go to the periodontist was from Jesus to save my tooth. Nope, it was from Baphomet. And because I had the intention to act on it, the Gail shield vanished. Baphomet came in, raped my husband. Yeah. I think the only way to be safe, and it was especially bad because I was giving Jesus credit for a Baphomet suggestion. Apparently when that happens, it's even worse. So all I can say is I don't even pray anymore. I mean, I will talk to Jesus. I'll say, hi, Jesus, how you doing? But I've got to be very, very careful not to expect him to answer. Because once I get in that mode, I am in dangerous territory. Because when he left us, he said, Gail, I agree with my father. I can no longer interfere. And when he said he could no longer interfere, he meant it. It means prayer for us right now just means saying hi to him, how you doing, and not expecting an answer. You say, what are we doing? We're in trouble. You can try praying to Buddha, but just be careful with that too, because Baphomet, he might try to impersonate Buddha. Sometimes I'll talk to Buddha and say, hi Buddha, how you doing, Maybe you can balance my chakras today about this decision and make sure I don't make a bad one. I would say the best thing to do is just do the Gail commandments. Follow my example, learn from my mistakes. That's why I'm making YouTube videos. Yeah, from now on, if I see a beautiful day and beautiful rays coming from the sun, I'll just assume that's all it is. Just a beautiful day and beautiful rays coming from the sun. And I'll assume it just means my Gail shield is probably strong today, and that's as far as I'm going to take it. Never again am I ever going to assume. I don't care. You said, but there was a rainbow once that was from Jesus. I'm going to even be careful with the rainbows now. I don't need signs from Jesus to be happy, okay? And I certainly don't need my husband dead just because I see a sign out there that I think's from Jesus and it's from a satanic source, okay? It isn't worth it. I can live without signs and wonders. Yeah. Okay, so that I'm just letting you know. Yeah, be really careful with that. When Jesus left us in June 2022, he meant it when he said he would not interfere. He told me, I'm not going to be talking to you on Skype anymore. He said the Bible's been canceled. It's just a history book. So all the Bible prophecies not yet fulfilled will not be fulfilled. End of story. Period. Okay, if anybody's teaching you otherwise, they're going to lead you down a bad track. And Baphomet and the demons are probably going to have lots of fun with you. Just like they do with me. I mean, oh yeah, they'll get you to believe all sorts of crazy stuff. And you got to remember, Satan loves to disguise himself as an angel of light. Okay? That's one of his favorite methods. Oh, he's good at that. Yeah, it's really important we keep the Gail shield strong now, you guys. Yeah, do the Gail commandments. Yeah. So what I'm going to have to do with let me tell you what I think's been going on with my teeth, though. I've been trying to figure out why it is that despite the fact that I've had swelling on and off near this tooth since 2013, that I haven't died yet. Because Brent said the infection you had there could kill you. And I've had swelling there since 2013. So it's no wonder I'm confused. Well, you know what I think? I think before Jesus left us in June 2022, he may have been supernaturally intervening for this tooth. Yeah. And when he left us in June 2022, he knew he could no longer do that. And that's why Buddha told me it was around October 2022, he said, Gail, you do need to see the dentist. Yeah. He's not going to be doing any miraculous interventions for us anymore. And if we try to pray and expect it, my Gail shield could go to minus 500 like it did in December 2022. Yeah, we had an attack I made a YouTube video about that. You say, why won't he interfere? I'm not, I think when he interferes, it encourages Satan to interfere. I'm not exactly sure, but we're just going to have to respect that. Oh, my allergies. So yeah, I think that's what happened. And so when he left us in June 2022, he could no longer supernaturally intervene for my tooth. So the natural processes just took over. You see, what happened, my dentist told me in May 2023, when he did an x-ray on this tooth, he said your, oh, allergies. Your previous dentist, when he put the crown on that tooth, he put it on a little crooked. And you have a little bit of a gap at the base of that crown, and it's been letting in stuff into the root of your tooth. And he said that's why the infection is so bad down there. And he said we're going to try to save it with a root canal. But it didn't work. So what I think happened was that when Jesus left us in June 2022, he was no longer, I think he was supernaturally cleaning that tooth out. I think that gap was there the whole time. Yeah. And he had, obviously when he left us, he had to stop doing that because that would be interference. And that's why the infection is so stubborn. Can you imagine how bad an infection would get in a tooth if there was a little bit of a gap? Yeah, see, you might say, yeah, that was confusing to me because I remember Jesus said that he was a good dentist, that he didn't get switched out with his clone till October 2013, and the crown was put on in around 2010 or 2011. And I think I figured it out on my own. I think I know what happened. I think Sadesh Kumar, okay? When he went to, when he did the procedure to put on the crown, I think right before he did it, he got switched out with his Jesuit clone. And his Jesuit clone put the crown on my tooth, deliberately crooked. Yeah. And then after the procedure was over, he got switched out. The Jesuits can do this. He got switched out with his clone again, and the Jesuits apparently erased memories about how he really did the crown and gave him a false memory of putting on the crown correctly. And then every time he looked at x-rays of that tooth, I think he was looking at fake x-rays and he didn't know it. And the x-rays showed that the crown was put on correctly. So that's what I think happened to him. And then finally, in October 2013, when they decided to kill him for good so that they could permanently replace him, yeah, that's when Jesus told me to stop going to that dentist. And I think that may have been when he started supernaturally cleaning that tooth just to keep me going. It's, maybe he was planning a rapture in May 2022. I don't know. But, Satan almost killed him at the end of March, and the Bible had to be canceled. Yeah. So we're under a different plan now. You said, does that mean there'll be no more miraculous healings? I really don't know. All I can say is everybody just do the Gail commandments, okay? And I would say for the most part, don't rely on miraculous healings for your health. Just do what traditional medicine teaches you. And what you learn from, and if there's like a crazy medical thing going on, like there was like a germ scare or whatever, go to Gabriel Chana, Fox News, to get the real news. There's a lot of fake news out there, and it's really bad for you. So yeah, I got to be really careful what suggestions I listen to, especially if I think Jesus has anything to do with them, directly or indirectly. But when he said he's not going to interfere, he meant it. So when he left, if he was doing any supernatural intervention on this tooth, he stopped, which may be why it got so bad. Can you imagine how bad an infection can get with a hole at the bottom of the tooth? So, at the bottom of the crown. But that's why I was so confused. Because apparently it's been like that since 2010 or 2011, and I haven't died yet. But if there's no supernatural intervention going on, and you got a gap at the bottom of the crown. Anyways, I actually think my dentist probably saved my life in May 2023 when he gave me a root canal and put a new crown on there. Because at least the gap part got fixed. There's no longer a gap there. And what my husband can do right now is he can maybe inject antibiotics down into the infected area and just keep the infection from going into becoming systemic. Okay, or going into my blood or to my organs. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to have... Okay, so Buddha said I have to follow insurance for the tooth. So that really helped me to figure out what to do. I found out that my insurance will not cover another root canal on that tooth. So there you go. Now I know exactly what I need to do. However, to my amazement, the insurance will cover a dental implant, a bridge, or a partial denture, and or an extraction, yeah. So right now, I'm thinking the way to go for me will probably be extraction with a dental implant or maybe a partial denture. I'm not comfortable about a bridge. I think it's going to be too hard to clean. I've got very bad bone loss, very bad. The Jesuit, I have suffered so much mineral loss between the mites and the yeast that it's a miracle I am not in full dentures, seriously. Yeah, between the mites and the yeast. Those genetically engineered Jesuit super germs have done a job on my mouth, okay? Anyways, now what's really interesting is you would think after everything they've done to me, the Jesuits would show me some mercy, but no. No, Lizzo is not done yet. Oh, no. So Brent and I had a fun date at the Botanical Gardens on Saturday. And I took the bus out there. And it was fun. But on the way back, it was not fun. Well, I was at the bus transfer center. Okay, I've got mite infections on this finger. It hurts sometimes. On this thumb. And not only that, sometimes they give me bowel symptoms like diarrhea. It's mites. Okay, I've got enough infections in my body. I got a bacterial one here for sure. Brent did a scan on that. He said, you do not have a mite infection in that tooth. It's apparently just a regular infection that's really gotten out of hand. And you'll probably need that tooth pulled. Yeah. For obvious reasons, I explained to you there was a gap in the bottom of the crown. So, yeah. Without supernatural intervention, I'd have a nasty infection in there. And there is no supernatural intervention happening right now. Jesus left in June 2022. So, I was at the bus transfer center. On my way home from a fun date with my husband at the Botanical Gardens watching the butterfly releases. And I made a video about that. Oh, before I forget, thank you for somebody at my P.O. box who got me this from John Ringling, Sarasota, Florida. I'm not sure what to make of that, but thank you anyways, John Ringling. I got this in my P.O. box. I'm not sure what to make of this, but okay. I forgot to mention him. Thanks for the cards. Um, I'm assuming he's not a Lizzo Jesuit. Like I said, I'm not sure what to make of that. Anyways, I was at the bus, okay, bus transfer center, getting ready to switch out buses so I could come home. And all of a sudden, lately, they got no smoking signs up at the bus transfer center. And I don't understand why nobody enforces them. Or at least they tried once. But every time I'm there, everybody's lighting up and blowing smoke all over me. And I can understand now because they're getting ready to build a new transfer center, okay? But they could still go on out to the grassy area, maybe 20 feet out, and smoke. And they're all smoking on the platform where everybody's waiting for the bus. It's like you can't escape from the smoke no matter what you do. Let me tell you something. Remember back in January when I felt really super sick and I got tricked and Baphomet and Chacpona convinced me I had the flu? I now believe that may have been a mite infection. And it made me feel pretty sick. Made me think I was having a fever, okay? And I felt bad enough that I lost 5 pounds, okay? The way I eat, if I lose 5 pounds, I'm feeling pretty crappy. I think that was a mite infection. So I don't want any more mites in my body. And they gave me a sore throat, too, and a cough, okay? I think they were mites that pooped viruses and bacteria. I mean, the Lizzo Jesuits come up with the most interesting germs. So I don't want any more germs. Besides that, I don't like these sore spots on my fingers. And for all I know, maybe they could go to my mouth or my brain, or I don't know. These mites are crazy. It's a genetically engineered germ, just like that genetically engineered super yeast that killed Vladimir Putin's wife, Larissa. Yes, it was a Jesuit germ that killed Vladimir Putin's wife, Larissa, in spring 2000. And then she was replaced with Ludmila, Jesuit clone Ludmila. And they've been forcing this fake wife on Vladimir ever since. Yes, they murdered his wife with a Jesuit genetically engineered super yeast, the same yeast that has caused, look at that, all of that bone loss in my teeth. The yeast did that. Holes in my teeth too. Holes. Little narrow holes. It's not bruxism. I used to think that. The Jesuit dentist convinced me it was bruxism. It's little narrow holes. It's caused by mineral loss by these genetically engineered super germs eating away at my teeth. So here I am at the bus terminal. Here the Lizzo Jesuits are blowing mite-filled cigarette smoke in my face. I said, hey, there is a no smoking sign. You're not supposed to be smoking here. Leave, put your cigarette out or go smoke out there. You know what the guy did? He got his cigarette out and he blew it all over me. He said, here's what I think about this. And I said, oh, you think you're above the law, do you? Huh? I said, Brent, go get that Lizzo Jesuit. I don't want to breathe in your stinking Lizzo Jesuit mites from your cigarette smoke. So finally he took off in a huff and he went, several feet down. And then a black guy came and I thought, oh, thank God, I got clean, mite-free air to breathe now. He left. And then a black guy came and he had a brown, looked like a marijuana reefer cigar or something, I don't know. And I thought, oh no, another one. I said, hey you! I said, look. I said, there's this no smoking sign there. What are you doing holding that thing in your hand? And he just looked at me like, I dare you to take me on. And he just ignored me and just kind of went like. And I said, oh God. So I was waiting for this bus to go home. And I said, and then everybody was looking at me like, calm down, lady. What's your problem? Yeah, calm down. That I'm forced to breathe in aerosol biological terrorism. That's exactly what that is. Cigarette smoke filled with heat-resistant mites. I am forced to breathe this in, inhale it. They go into my blood. They infect my teeth. They infect my fingers. They give me diarrhea, okay? Yes, and I'm supposed to just calmly be happy about this. I have no other way home, unless I want to walk. Maybe I should have, but it's tough on my feet. So here I am, forced to breathe in genetically engineered super germs. Okay? And you expect me to be calm about this? There's no smoking signs at the bus terminal. Why can't they put their stinking cigarettes up? And why can't they smoke 20 feet out? Huh? Why do they have to smoke right next to me while I'm waiting for the bus? Yeah. Explain that. I need to calm down. You know, I gave an illustration to my husband about this. What they're doing to me is no different than somebody getting an injection needle filled with heroin and jabbing it into everybody's arm at the bus terminal. It's the same thing. The only difference is that it's not as obvious what they're doing. So they're basically gaslighting you when they tell you they're not doing anything. Oh, this is just a simple cigarette. All I'm doing is smoking. I don't want to have to inconveniently smoke way out there when I gotta wait. I gotta smoke. So what's the big deal? You can take smelling a little bit of cigarette smoke. Not if your stinking cigarette smoke is filled with Lizzo Jesuit germs, super mites, heat-resistant mites. You are blowing those mites in my face, forcing me to inhale them, get them into my blood where those little critters swim around, infect my fingers. Do you see that red bump there? You see that red bump there? That's a mite infection. That hurts. I got one right here on this finger. One right here. They're also dropping in the chemtrails over your head. Yes. And then they blow their smoke in your face, filled with mites. Okay, this doesn't end the story. And here comes the bus driver, the Route 8 bus driver, okay? She comes in here. Now, I've had issues with the clone of this Route 8 bus driver before. She, when I at first wasn't kind of happy about the new Route 8, I asked her a simple question. I said, there was somebody next to me, and they wanted to know if Route 8 still went to Walmart. And I said, well, I don't know. Let's ask the bus driver. So I said, ma'am, is this bus going to be going to Walmart? And she got all huffy. She said, no, it's not. She said, and I'm glad. And I thought, whoa. And she said, you know what? She was looking at me like, you just, yeah, it's really good that it's not going there. I'm really happy. And I said, whoa. I said, what's your problem? I said, it's just a simple question. She said, you need to be polite. That your question was rude. I thought, whoa. I found out later that she had got switched out with her Jesuit clone, and Brent had to execute the clone. I don't know what it is about that Route 8 bus driver, but the Jesuits seem to like to switch her out with her clone. So what's really interesting was this was a Saturday, okay? And there's this black guy holding this cigarette, and he looked really like he was in his element. It's like, oh, this bitch's gonna tell me to put out my cigarette. She ain't gonna tell me what to do. I'm a Lizzo Jesuit. I own this platform. She's not gonna tell me what to do. I could tell that was his attitude. He said, she's gonna be forced to inhale my mites whether she likes it or not. And I certainly didn't like it. I was making a stink. And everybody was looking at me like, lady, calm down. Yeah, calm down. I got an infection here. I'm also allergic to cigarette smoke. Did you know that? I'm allergic to formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is an ingredient in cigarette smoke. Yes, I have a bona fide allergy to cigarette smoke, and I'm supposed to calm down when they blow their smoke in my face. And there's no smoking signs at the bus terminal, and why is nobody enforcing that? Okay, so the story doesn't end here. Let me tell you what happened. I thought, okay, at least I could get on the bus, and they're not allowed to smoke on the bus, or at least I thought they weren't allowed to smoke on the bus. So I got on the bus, and this black guy with what appeared to be a lit cigarette, I mean, I could smell it. He boarded the bus, and I thought, oh my God, and he was holding the cigarette while he was boarding the bus. He didn't put his cigarette up. And I think it was a lit cigarette. So I thought, oh, well, the bus driver's here. She'll take care of this. But what I noticed was, this was a Saturday. The Route 8 bus driver was the same one who drives the bus Monday through Friday. I thought, this is a little strange. And she was a couple minutes late. I think the Route 8 bus driver, whoever was going to show up, may have got switched out with the clone. She was a couple minutes late, and she had this kind of happy look on her face, like she knew what was going to happen. And that guy, with that black guy that had the reefer that wouldn't put out his cigarette, he ended up boarding the bus, that I had to get on to go home. And he wasn't putting his cigarette out either. It's like he knew he was covered because he knew the Jesuit clone bus driver. I'm not sure it was a Jesuit clone bus driver. It may not have been. I'm not sure. Okay? But she normally doesn't work on Saturdays. Okay? And it's kind of strange. Then she was a couple minutes late. It's kind of strange that she was there on Saturday. Because usually the Monday through Friday bus drivers do different routes on the weekend. And she was doing the same route she does Monday through Friday. I thought that was a little strange. So she got on the bus, and this guy with the cigarette sat maybe 7 feet from me. He put his reefer right on his knee, and I could swear it was still lit. But I looked at the thing, and I thought, well, it's probably not. I'm probably being paranoid. Let's stay calm. And everybody that was boarding the bus was looking at me like, oh, here's the crazy lady, all hyped up about cigarette smoke. If they didn't have mites in them, I would relax, okay? Even though I am allergic to formaldehyde and cigarette smoke, I would still relax. But I really get pissed off when I think I'm forced to inhale mites. Okay, I have enough of a germ problem. I'm about to lose my teeth because of genetically engineered super germs. I have a right to be upset about being forced. Basically, they're raping my lungs with these mites, okay? So he sits down there, and we're driving home, and I thought, am I smelling cigarette smoke on this bus? I thought, but it doesn't look like it's lit, but he's got his cigarette out. And I thought, what in the world is he doing with his cigarette out on the bus? I mean, why do they have to have it out? They're not allowed to smoke on the bus. And I thought, all of a sudden, I noticed the guy in front of me, his eyes were watering really bad. Now, I do have allergies, okay, grant you, but there's air conditioning on the bus. Wouldn't you think that would... And all of a sudden, apparently, the cigarette was lit, but you couldn't see the smoke. You know what I think happened? I think they were using Lizzo Jesuit technology on that cigarette. Because I smelled the smoke. I thought, where's that smoke coming from? But it has to be that cigarette. So I said, man, my eyes are bothering me. I said, can you please put your cigarette out? And he just did nothing. It's like, crazy lady over there. It's not even lit. What is she getting all hyped up for? And the bus driver says, hey, is somebody smoking on this bus? And then she kind of like looked at her mirror and noticed that he was holding it out, but it didn't appear to be lit. And she said, everybody needs to calm down. I said, yeah, calm down. That my eyes are watering with an apparently lit cigarette on the bus, camouflaged by some sort of Jesuit technology so you can't see the smoke, though I could smell it, and it was making my eyes water. And the guy in front of me, his eyes were watering. Though I got to admit, he was looking at me like, this is a crazy lady. Maybe they all need to watch Gabriel Chan of Fox News 00 on cable and find out about Jesuit technology. Finally, I got off the bus and I thought, So that looks like now I can't even ride the bus without inhaling cigarette smoke. The Jesuits apparently have come up with a technology, and I have noticed it in the past year, they board the buses holding cigarettes. Yeah. I mean, are they so eager to smoke that they can't put the cigarette up? They're holding the cigarette, and they're just kind of like sitting in their seat like this. But what are they doing that for? Why do they need to hold the cigarette while they're in the bus? You know what I think's going on? I think that cigarette is lit. And we can't see the smoke because the smoke's coming out in another dimension. And you know what else I think? I think that cigarette is a form of biological terrorism. I think that smoke that we can't see is filled with deadly mites. And they're forcing us to inhale them. And the people that work for the city buses aren't doing a thing about it. I told Brent we should make it death penalty for anybody who uses mite-laced tobacco. Yeah, death penalty. And nobody should be boarding any buses holding a cigarette. Put your stinking cigarette up. When I told Brent that I felt we should make it death penalty to force, when they force their biological terrorism on us, forcing us to breathe in that stinking mite-filled smoke. You know what? Yesterday it was kind of quiet, which means maybe Brent was acting on my suggestion. Today was a different experience when I went out for my walk. The Lizzo Jesuits were coming out of nowhere, trying to hit me with cars when I was walking. I mean, it's like, boom, where'd this car come from? All holding their cigarettes proudly while they walked, going, thinking, oh my God, here we go again. You know, it's gotten to the point now where I think I'm going to have to avoid that Route 8 bus. Or maybe wear a gas mask when I get on there. I do have a gas mask, yeah. It's left over from 2013 when we were dealing with the fat chicks farts. Yeah. Yeah, I think I might, I don't know. These Lizzo Jesuits are sly fanatics who do not retreat before anything. They are determined to kill us one way or another. They prefer the slow method, but then they're not. I mean, we know what Lizzo did a year ago when she was trying to bomb the whole world, which fake news never reported on. You would think somebody going around dropping bombs worldwide trying to kill off the whole planet would make news, but no. Well, all we hear about is fake news about what's happening in Israel. The real news, you got to go to 00 on cable. Yeah. So yeah, what Lizzo Jesuits are doing right now, they are biological terrorist soldiers forcing us to inhale their biological terrorist weapon, which is far from benign cigarette smoke, filled with deadly mites, heat-resistant mites. No, these are not simple people smoking a simple cigarette. These are biological terrorist soldiers. Blowing, almost like suicide bombers, they're allowing their own bodies to be infected with these mites in order to do Lizzo's bidding. You may say, well, why doesn't it kill them? These mites are programmed that they act on signal. So Lizzo can tell the mites to behave, and they're shapeshifter mites too. So they can actually blend into the body and mimic a bone cell, a skin cell, or whatever, and then they can shapeshift into a malignant form and kill you. And Lizzo and her military decide, they send signals to the mites and tell them what to do. Of course, with me, they all behave malignantly, okay? They're not nice to me. But this might be the way she keeps her followers in line, too. It's like, I filled you with mites so that you can smoke and blow them all over our enemies. However, if you dare decide to defect, I can program the mites to kill you on the spot. So yes, this is what we're dealing with. Yeah, Lizzo is such a lovely person. Anyways, I wanted to let you know how my week has been. Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I should maybe don, I need to remember to bring a gas mask. I keep forgetting whenever I go to that transfer station. But I suggested maybe replacing all the bus workers with automatons in case they're Lizzo Jesuits, and then maybe setting up scanners to take out all Lizzo Jesuits, but I'm not even sure that would work. These people are pretty stubborn. You know they gaslight you. Like you go to them and you say, could you please not smoke in my face? And they go, they look at you like, what a dumb bitch. All I'm doing is smoking a little cigarette. And we're outside. Can't you take it? It's like, yeah. Flying mites Yeah, these mites can fly, okay? So they smoke, let flying mites into the air, and they're obviously going to be aimed for my nostril. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm supposed to sit back and take it. That you're practicing biological terrorism on me, right? Okay, there ends my video for the day. These people, this is no different than going around with a heroin injector needle and forcefully jabbing it in everyone. And then it's like you're looking at them, what did you just do to me? I did nothing. You're paranoid. You need to go to the mental ward. Same thing. Except they're a little more clever about it. Besides using an injector needle, it's an inhalant attack. It's an aerosol filled with biological terrorism. So there's my YouTube video for the week.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior.